The metal bistro set is often seen outside cafes and small restaurants all over Europe. The set consists of a small dining table and 2 chairs. A bistro set is also popular in homes with limited outdoor space, as there's usually enough room for one of these on a balcony or small patio. The small restaurant bar known as the bistro originated in 19th century France. Its iconic dining sets are still being produced today in both traditional and modern styles. This factory makes them out of strips of flat steel with rounded edges. The first step is to flatten the strip with pressure-applying rollers. The steel then enters a press, which performs 3 operations simultaneously. It cuts pieces to the required length, rounds their ends, and punches out the required holes. These are parts that will form the table legs. Here, a computer-guided machine bends 12mm wide steel rod into a circle to form a ring that will eventually support the table top. The table is collapsible, so it can be stored flat. For this to happen, 2 of the legs have to be hinged. A pin and notch locks them in position when the table is set up. Next, the legs are assembled in a fixture, along with the ring that will support the table top. It's then spun, and a welding robot takes over to weld all the joints, as well as the legs, to the ring. It takes about 2 minutes to weld all these parts into a folding table base. The tabletop is made from 1 piece of square sheet steel. This machine first cuts off the corners, turning the square into a circle. It then draws up the edge to form a 15mm high rim on what will be the underside of the tabletop. It also cuts a hole and draws up its edge in the center for an umbrella pole. All the parts are now complete, and it's time to make the table. First, the ring on the base is inserted into the top's rim. The legs are then opened, and spreading pliers are used to ease the ring in place so that its ends butt against each other. Using a scrap piece of metal to protect the table, the butted ends of the ring are then welded together. The table is now fully constructed. The chair parts are cut on the same press as the table legs. Each chair has 2 longer leg parts, which also support the back slats, and 2 shorter parts. This machine simultaneously folds and twists the 2 longer parts and folds the 2 shorter ones that are then joined with a crossbar. The leg parts are then placed in a fixture. A washer is added over the end of the crossbar just fitted. Then the 2 longer leg parts are attached, which are joined by a lower crossbar. This lower crossbar is welded, while either end of the upper crossbar is formed into a rivet, creating the hinge so that the chair can be collapsed. The frame is then placed on another machine, positioning the 3 holes punched earlier onto steel pins. 2 steel slats for the chair back are then laid over the pins. The machine also makes the seat, where 5 slats are placed over pins riveted to 2 steel bars. The machine then forms the pins into rivets, attaching all the slats. The seat is then fitted to the frame, completing the construction of the chair. The tables and chairs go to the paint line. The first station washes and dries them. Next, each is opened so that the hinge points can be sprayed. Automated nozzles then paint the rest. All the furniture is sprayed with a powder coat. A 10-minute trip through a tunnel oven at 190 degrees Celsius bakes it on. Finally, information stickers are applied, plastic covers added over protruding parts, and foot protectors are enclosed. bistro set is now ready. Just need to wait for my guests to arrive. In an electronic world, where a few taps on a keyboard sends an invitation or greeting card, it's not all that common anymore to receive something printed the old-fashioned way. Yet there's nothing quite as elegant as the crisp recessed print that traditional letterpress printing produces. Letterpress printing is a centuries-old method that's made a comeback. The printing press makes an impression in the paper with raised type as it applies the ink. First, the printer sketches out some design ideas, then uses a computer to finalize the colors and composition, and choose the font in traditional metal type. Then paper is cut to the size of the greeting card that's being made. This paper is 100% cotton, which is more pliable than standard wood fiber paper, enabling a deeper impression. Cotton paper is more delicate, so it has to be cushioned while cut, otherwise the clamp holding the stack would dent the paper. Now it's time to set up. First, the metal type chosen is found for the first line of text. The type or sorts are then placed left to right and upside down in a composing stick. Each sort is backwards, because backwards type prints forwards. Once the type for the line is completed, called a form, the sorts are clamped into position. Next, using a metal frame called a chase, the form is mounted at the desired position inside it. Then blocks of wood or furniture fill in the remaining space. Just below the piece of furniture that's underneath the form, a compression device called a coin is positioned. This expands using a key and locks the form into position. Next, each colour ink is chosen from a colour chart. It's then mixed following the recipe. This is colour extender, which works like paint thinner, diluting a dark colour to a lighter shade. It's then thoroughly blended into the ink. When the colour matches the colour chart sample, a glob is placed on a piece of cardboard and taken to the printing press, where dots of ink are applied all over the ink disc. Then the treadle is pumped, which runs rollers back and forth across the disc. This spreads the ink over the disc and also onto the ink rollers. The chase containing the form is then inserted into the bed of the press. Before printing begins, a test run is done. A lever is pulled to bring the bed and platen together so that the form, inked by the rollers, creates an inked impression in the paper. If the print is slightly off, the correct position is marked by a pencil. Then gauge pins are installed that will hold the paper in the right place. The traditional way to secure gauge pins is with sealing wax. However, masking tape also does the trick. Test over, printing can begin. No automation here. One piece of paper at a time is placed in the gauge pins. The ink dries quickly because it's rubber-based and because cotton paper is highly absorbent. The printer's technique is a hybrid of traditional and modern, as computer-generated graphics are also used. A digital file is sent to a company that makes a polymer printing plate, and this is mounted on an aluminium base that fits in the chase of the press. The plate is switched to print the next graphic in a different colour, layered over the first. The polymer plates marry old and new technology, making it possible to print computer-generated graphics on a traditional letterpress. After printing the inside of this greeting card, a scoring rule mounted in another press is used to make a perfectly straight fold line down the middle of the paper. beautiful textured print on elegant cotton paper, just like the olden days, before inkjets, e-cards and e-vites. On your special day. Every day on How It's Made is special.